Hi, I'm Mariska. Here are Maveline, Meivi, Simran, and Vina. And today we're going to present an analysis of a Southeast Asian country, Malaysia, with theories and concepts of intercultural communication. This video is separated into 5 parts. First is introduction. Second is defining intercultural communication. Third, a brief introduction of the country. Fourth, theories applied and interview. And fifth, conclusion.
As the term suggests, intercultural communication is constituted of two major components. Communication is a dynamic process in which people attempt to share their thoughts with other people through the use of symbols in particular settings. Culture is a set of human-made objective and subjective elements that in the past have increased the probability of survival and resulted in satisfaction for the participants in an ecological niche, and thus become shared among those who could communicate with each other because they had a common language and they lived in the same time and place. In short, culture is established with the intention of making people's lives easier or less problematic. With the two components defined, we can conclude that intercultural communication is a process of interaction between a person of a particular culture with another person of a different culture. Or in other words, intercultural communication is when a member of one culture produces a message for consumption by a member of another culture. The addition of the different cultural backgrounds of people within an interaction makes the already elaborate concept of communication more complex. Hence, intercultural communication is deemed as a complex activity. As mentioned before, in this video, we'll have a look at the cultural values of Malaysia.
Malaysia is a federal constitutional monarchy. The country is located in Southeast Asia and it's constituted of 13 states and 3 federal territories in 2 different regions, namely in the west of Malaysia, or usually called the Malay Peninsula, and East Malaysia, which is located on the island of Borneo. The country's capital city is Kuala Lumpur, and because of its geographical location, Malaysia is part of one of the main maritime routes in the world. It's occupied by various ethnic groups. About 20.8% of Malaysia's population are Chinese, 6.2% Indian, 61.7% Malaysian or Bumiputra, and 11.3% are people of other ethnicities. Malay as a nation-state's national language is used as a medium to unite the country's diverse population. Most of Malaysia's population adheres to Islam, with others adhering to religions like Confucianism, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, and Sikhism. Nation-state applies a so-called dual justice system that stands for the existence of secular laws, criminal and civil, and Sharia law, which is only applicable to Muslims of the country. As a result, there are religious courts established under Islamic law or Sharia in the 13 Malay states. Also, several cultural traditions like Indic, Southeast Asian, Sinic, East Asian, Arabic, and Western cultures influence Malaysia's culture as a whole.
At the core of a culture's deep structure lie social institutions or organizations. The 3 most influential ones are family or clan, state or community, and religion or worldview. Specific to worldview, as the term suggests, worldview is a view of the world. It is the way people interpret reality and events, including how they see themselves in relation to the world around them. It is also important to note people of a culture have a shared view of the world. One of the forms of worldview is religion. The role of religions in shaping the lives of people of a culture is prominent. Their influence range from what to eat and not to eat to the allocation of gender roles within societies. In Asia, with the long-established religions like Confucianism and Islam, strict or rigid gender roles are pervasive.
In our country, there are a few rigid systems and traditions that we actually have to follow. As an example, Malay women in school should wear their hijab on. It's a rule like that. We cannot wear, we cannot not wear our hijab. Okay. Um and in Malaysia, we actually have this one phrase that is called as perempuan Melayu terakhir. It is a phrase that shown that girl is actually an ideal type for what Malaysians want in a girl, something like that. So um so in general, women in Malaysia, we in general, women in Malaysia, um we were not strict as before. Like women should do only house chores and stay at home. Um okay. Women are given more chances to actually pursue their career and their education. So yes, I think women in Malaysia actually have made Malaysia a better country because they were given chances. Yes.
There are rigid systems here and there, and but I would say that it applies specifically to the Muslim community. Like for example, the Sharia law that you mentioned. So it applies specifically only for the Muslim community, and also it depends on which state the person stays. So different states have different levels of Sharia law. So the ones that are more up north, we kind of have a perception of them being more strict when it comes to Sharia law. And there, sometimes the Sharia law even applies to the non-Muslim community.
Oh.
So, for example, there is a state up north where they have separate cinemas for males and females, and everybody has to follow the rules that way. Yeah. But of course, in the city, in JL, you don't see happening at all. There are different degrees of Sharia law that's applied in Malaysia depending on where you live. And because of that, the levels of rigidity in the system and the customs that women should follow in general also depends on where you live. But coming as a person that live in the city, there's not much rigidity, there's not much Sharia law that we have to stick by, coming from a person that's not Muslim. But, if you want to know in terms of the point of view of a Muslim woman, I would say my Muslim friends, they don't really feel the need to follow the law. Um, so you can see very openly that Muslim women, like young women and even older women, they would just go out even without tudung and stuff, and there's no consequences in the city compared to other states.
I yeah, I would say that only in certain areas is more strict for the Sharia law as well. But there are also people that come from like more Islamic schools, so they are brought up with the law itself like that. So it's somewhat a similar answer to Michelle's, but I would say that a lot of, because we are predominantly Malay here, so they are mostly influenced by the Sharia law, so they kind of like use that opinion on like other races as well for women, stating like they should be housewives and they shouldn't work, or like they shouldn't be better than a man in a way. I mean, it's a bit misogynist, but I think like because they're less open-minded to women being able to work and be successful as well, so they are not that acceptive towards this type of like women doing a bit better than men. Yeah.
Based on the interview, both sides agree that there are rigid systems or customs that women should follow in Malaysia. However, some of laws such as the Sharia law only applied in the Muslim community and depends on the state. Some states are more strict with the Sharia law, some are not. The example of the rigid system is like female Muslim students must wear their hijab in school. It should be their own decision to wear what they want, but the law is forbidding them. The role of women is also perceived more positively. They are given more freedom with what they want, but some are still not as open-minded and still believe women should not be better than men and better to focus on house chores.
Cultural pattern is a term used to describe the cultural values of a dominant group within a culture. The example of culture patterns are Hofstede's value dimension and Hall's categorization of high contact and low contact orientations. Hofstede's four identified value dimension. First, individualism or collectivism. Individualism describes cultures in which the ties between individuals are loose. Individualist culture put an emphasis on traits such as individual right, privacy, independence, and self-expression. Conversely, or collectivism, describe culture in which people are integrated into strong cohesive groups that protect individuals in exchange for unquestioning loyalty. Collectivist culture emphasizes traits such as community, tradition, societal norms, and collaboration. Second, uncertainty avoidance is defined as the extent to which the member of a culture feel threatened by uncertain or unknown situation. Different culture can be identified as having high or low uncertainty avoidance. Third, power distance, the extent to which the less powerful members of institution and organization within a country expect and accept that power is distributed unequally. Like uncertainty avoidance, a culture can be identified to bear high or low power distance. Fourth, masculinity and femininity. Masculinity is a masculine culture bears strict or rigid gender roles which are prevalent, where traits like assertiveness, determination, and materialism are highly valued. Femininity. Gender roles in feminine culture often overlap. Things like sexual equality, nurturing behavior, quality of life are stressed.
Actually, yes, because unfortunately, as a Malaysian myself, I could say that um, Malaysians are actually quite scared to make their own products into their own originality. We usually follow the flow. As an example, in Malaysia, we have a lot of cosmetics products, right? That is made in Malaysia, but then it is always the same. It is the same thing over and over again. So I could say that in Malaysia we actually use wait no we actually take social conformity and harmony more than individual success. Yes.
I would say people right now, the society, or at least the society that I am in and the one that I mingle with, we consider that, individuals have responsibility for their achievements, but also have the responsibility to also be a good citizen. So I would say that at least like, from my point of view and like from the people surrounding me, it's more of like a balance thing, you know? So you have responsibility for your own achievements and everything, but also you have the responsibility to, create harmony and also pay respect to traditions, I guess. But at the same time, um, with the younger generation, I would say people are just focusing more on just doing good and at the same time being successful, but not really so much on actually practicing traditions anymore. So you don't see that happening as much anymore. So like say for example, uh, well, I don't know. I know a lot of young people nowadays. We just don't follow tradition. Like if there's prayers, then we're only doing it because our parents are doing it. So if we're going to the temple, we're only going because our parents are bringing us there. So there's not many people that are doing it, um, you know, because they want to do it, but it's because they follow their parents. But that's of course also saying that it's how the city lifestyle works, because previously I was staying in the northern states as well, and then I moved to the city. So comparing between the two, the younger generation in the northern states and all, or maybe just like the outskirt states in general, they tend to be more what is that, religious. I would say they follow the religion, they follow the traditions a lot, they follow the rules a lot. But if you get closer to the city lifestyle, like I don't know, like Penang or KL, Selangor, these places are where you can really see that the younger generations are really just doing whatever they want while trying to be successful. Yeah, I would say that's my answer.
Personally, I feel like Malaysians don't really conform to social conformity. Like they don't really find it as important. But harmony and traditions is very important to them, especially like during festivals like Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, and Deepavali. We take it very seriously, and all different races will come together. But yeah, I mean, individually, we are also very responsible for our own achievements. But when it comes to like representing Malaysia, we are very proud of that. So, but I really don't see how social conformity actually plays a role in our society, honestly.
Yeah.
But we do take harmony and traditions very well, because, like very seriously, because to us it's like, for our pride and joy is our how diverse our country is, and the entire country, I would say, is like a good mixture of like the three different races having different traditions, and we just mix everything together and becomes Malaysia.
Those to interview, it can be seen that the old generations consider more social conformity and they are quite afraid of being different. Meanwhile, the younger generation believes in individuality. They think that individuals should be more responsible for their achievements, but they are also still trying to consider social harmony, since they are more focused in the balance between those two. They are more focused on being a good citizen, so they will be viewed positively by other people. Meanwhile, for tradition, instead of following tradition, they are more focused in respecting other people's traditions. This is because they want to be viewed as a good citizen.
Malaysians in general is actually a laid back and relaxed society. Um, so I think Malaysians are actually more comfortable with disorder and surprises rather than meticulous organizations.
So I would say that firstly, Malaysian society, Malaysian people are very relaxed. So we're a very relaxed community. We're a very relaxed society. We're just chill. We just lay back a lot. So because of that, I would say that we are comfortable when, even though things don't happen the way it does. But at the same time, we do insist on we do hate accidents a little bit. So like I would say like wait, let me think about how do I want to say this. But basically, so for example, we have this thing called Malaysian timing. So friends say you meet at 6, but then in real life you're actually meeting at 7, and everybody's just really laid back about it. So it's not really a surprise anymore, that kind of thing. So even though, like, for example, for other people they'll be like, oh, this is really surprising. Everybody's really late for an hour. But for us, it's like, oh well, it's the Malaysian timing. We're kind of used to it, that kind of thing. So in that sense, I would say that we're more comfortable with it. But with disorder in specific, I would say that we tolerate it, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that we it gets someone can get away scot free like that. So a lot of times we would just we will call them out, but I would say we would do it in a peaceful manner as well. I'd say, but we don't necessarily insist on organization as much, because again it falls back on the idea that we're just really laid back, we're really chill. So yeah. In terms of hating accidents, can I just find out, like, what do you mean by hate accidents? Like what?
Like when things don't go to plan,
Oh, okay. I would say that, yeah, again, just really chill about those kind of things, except for obviously, like, like kind of like the same group of people really hang out with the same group of people. So like there are a group of people, group of Malaysians where they're just like, oh, things must really go according to plan, it must really go according to plan. But there are also like a rather majority, I would say, where the people, they're just like really chill and they don't really hate it, that kind of thing. Chloe, your turn.
I would say we are, as Malaysians, we are more like really just go with the flow type of people. We don't plan anything, and like even if it's like going out anywhere on the, like when we reach to a destination, only we decide what we want to do. Half the time we don't even know what we want to eat, so we will spend an hour deciding what to eat. But I think when it comes to like actual, like more serious things, we are more organized and we are more particular about situations like that. But in everyday life, we are just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then it's all right type of thing. Like, I think it's nice to say that we are laid back, but I think it's just more like we really just like to see what will happen first, and then we try to handle it when it happens. Yeah.
From the interview, both sides agree that Malaysian is a laid-back and relaxed society. The people are more comfortable with disorder and surprises since they are always going with the flow type. Malaysians do not necessarily insist on organization as much. However, for serious things, the people are probably more organized. But in daily life, the people do not care much about that.
Actually, for in Malaysia, it is normal for powerful people to have more social privileges, because I'm not saying that people with low commissions in life actually were not given opportunity by the government, but then having power really made your life easier in Malaysia. Yes.
A lot of people have a lot of opinions on this, and you see it happening so much. Really, a lot of times we want to emphasize on social equality because we know there are so many people out there where, say for example, because their dad has a really good position in the society, so like maybe he's like a police commander or whatever, then naturally everybody would be like, oh, no wonder he can do all this kind of stuff and just break the rules a lot, because his dad is the police. So the dad will always, like, he has the privilege of relying on his dad to just save him from whatever trouble that he creates, that kind of thing. So I would say it's normal that it happens. And we even have like kind of like a running joke, which is like, oh, is this how privilege feels like? Can't relate, that kind of thing, you know. We have that thing going on. So it's normal, but I would say that we're not exactly okay with it. So there's a lot of situation where, like, you know, because a person's dad, uncle, mom, whatever, has a good position, and because of that they can pull some strings and they get away free, or they even like get jobs really easily when other people are struggling, and it's not okay, you know, because obviously that doesn't give a fair chance to everybody. And like, say for example, if you give this kind of chance to someone that's worth it, then that's fine. But a lot of times they just give it because that person is just, you know, their child, or like someone that they know, or like their close friend's son, that kind of thing. You see a lot of, you know, a lot of times that happens, which is quite honestly is quite shit, but okay, never mind. But so because of that, we think that social equality is really important. You know, because there's a lot of people out there that's really like, you know, they're hustling, they're putting in a lot of effort, but a lot of times, I mean, I wouldn't say that it happens a lot of times, but it does happen frequent enough that people do notice it, and we do criticize it as well. You know, so in that term, I would say that, you know, equality is really, really important. Everybody deserves and a fair chance to grow. Yeah,
I
that's my
think
take.
sorry.
No, it's okay. So,
I was just gonna just elaborate and say, like, I feel like we are very sometimes we see it so often that we are so forgiving about that thing happening, where if you know, you can have two of the same people coming from the same university, but one of them has like a dad that works in a good company and has a big position, but then they're both fighting for the same job, but then they get, you know, the son gets the job instead because he has the dad there, and we just go like, oh yeah, you know, because like his dad knows someone inside, kind of thing. And honestly, because we have this issue where it's like the T20, the M40 and the B40, which is like the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. We are very critical about the T20 because they have so much privilege and they get away with a lot of things. So we are trying to speak up about it and fight for it, because it is important that all of us get equal chance. And you know, you don't know whether they come from a bad background, but they work very hard, you know. So I think social equality in Malaysia, we are trying to work on it. It's not perfect, but we are really trying to work and make sure that everybody gets the same opportunity in the country.
Malaysians think it is normal for powerful people to have more social privilege because if you are not powerful enough, it's hard for you to have social privilege. But social equality is important too.
I actually have mixed opinion in this because um, I think an adult should be assertive in gaining material comfort, but then as an adult too, um, they should be more acceptance and no, they should be more accepted in a society. So I think we all actually should chase the material comfort, um, but then being tolerated too is important. So it's quite, you know, both of it.
huh. The thing is, there are moments where you do have to be assertive though, because there are a lot of situations where you have to fight for what it is that you want. So, but I would say, like, you know, a lot when it relates to material comfort, social status, and prestige. Yeah, a lot of times you have to be assertive, not gonna lie. Yeah. I'm currently working as well. I'm working full time and I've been working for about almost 3 years. A lot of times I find myself in a situation where you have to be assertive and you have to be energetic. So the moments where I'm a little bit more relaxed, I'm a bit more low key, then my colleagues would point out, Michelle, you're gonna fall asleep. They would say something like that. Or Michelle, are you really tired today? That kind of stuff. So because of those kind of experience, I would say that yeah, you have to be assertive and energetic in terms of like getting people to respect you and then having that prestige, having that kind of charisma, having that kind of command in the room. It does play a big role, you know. But so I would say that's why adults in general, they just naturally start adopting that kind of characteristics into their lives, and then they just like start doing that even at home, not just at work. So I would say that happens, but I wish that it's not that way. Sometimes you can just have a really chilled and laid back environment at work, and it should be totally fine. But because of, I would say, professionalism and all that stuff, so you have to be assertive, you have to be sort of dominant in a sense, and you have to be energetic. But let me see the rest of the question. To be tolerant, yeah, I would say it's two separate things. So adults are normally assertive and energetic because they want to like try to like demand respect as well. So a moment where someone is like being tolerant or relaxed or loving and non-aggressive, that kind of stuff, then sometimes people would take advantage of that. But I would say that, when an adult is like really relaxed, a lot of times the youngsters, they would pay so much respect as well. So like, for example, my parents, they're really, really relaxed and they're very tolerant. And because of that, I really respect them, and I don't end up being very rebellious. So you have a lot of situations where very strict parents, very aggressive parents, they, end up with a child really rebelling a lot, sneaking out of the house a lot and stuff like that. But, when the parents are really relaxed, they're very chilled and they trust you a lot, and then you can see the child is just like not really rebelling or acting out as much. So that's my point of view. I can't really like choose which one is more important, because I would say that you see both of it happening and they have their own sense of importance as well. That's my answer. Chloe?
I feel like, honestly, I feel Malaysians, I mean, I'm not fully like an adult, but like I'm just a very young adult. But I feel for us, for my age group, we are more like we're more a good mixture of both, we would say. I mean, because of my age, you kind of expect us to be more laid back and more like fun and relaxed kind of thing. But I know it's gonna sound very controversial, but because as a Chinese, you're counted as a minority in Malaysia. So if you want to gain respect in like your working place, you have to be more assertive, and you have to look like you're more responsible, so that they will respect you as a Chinese in the working place. And I feel that we both, I mean, all of us, we just have like a good mixture of everything. And but when it comes to like something serious like work, we know that we have to be more dominant and assertive in that manner.
Actually, both of them are important. Adults should be assertive in gaining material comfort and be tolerant in a society.